An elderly woman dies after a swift-moving fire swept through a portion of the third floor at the Chestnut Manor Senior Housing Complex this week. We get the very latest from Arlington's fire department. 3 skaters fall through the ice at Spy Pond in less than 6 hours, keeping police and fire crews busy earlier this week. The Arlington Fire Department and police say there are alternatives to skating on this pond, and we will tell you what they are. Like the rest of us, Arlington's libraries have had to adjust to the seemingly endless pandemic, but they have bounced back in a major way. Arlington's director of libraries gave us her book review. And dive right in. The water's a balmy 39 degrees. Why do people subject themselves to such maltreatment? To help those who can't fend for themselves on the other side of the globe. We'll explain. ACMi News starts right now.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to, giving you stories that count from people who care, dedicated, determined, dependable. This is ACMi News.
Arlington continues to stay the course in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Hello, I'm Katie Chang.
And I'm James Milan. All month long, town administrators have been offering rapid antigen testing at Town Hall for residents who are symptomatic or have been exposed to COVID-19. These were walk-in tests, no appointment necessary. These clinics, much like those for the booster shot, were held from January 24th through the 27th. Recently, I spoke to State Representative Sean Garbely about the status of COVID-19 in this area. He told me even though Arlington is doing everything possible to combat the virus, we are nowhere near out of the woods yet.
In Arlington, we have a mask mandate that's dictated around public health measures, and I think it's a great thing, but we are one town out of 351 across the Commonwealth, and most cities and towns, our area they do, but most cities and towns in Massachusetts don't have a mask mandate at this time, and that's very concerning to a lot of us, and I would call on Governor Baker, as I have in the past, to restore that mask mandate. It is not difficult when you go to Whole Foods or Stop and Shop to just put on a mask, right? If you go to CVS, Walgreens, Trader Joe's, put on a mask. You go to Starbucks, Cafe Nero, Robbins Library, wherever you're going, put on a mask. And that's not just to protect yourself, but that's to protect those around you.
Keep up to date with the latest on the pandemic here in Arlington. You can go to the town website, arlingtonma.gov, and if you're looking for a PCR test, you can visit mass.gov/gettested to find a PCR testing site near you.
Tragedy struck the town of Arlington on Saturday, January 22nd. Arlington police say 88-year-old Bridget Doyle died and another woman was injured after a fire broke out in the 7-story Chestnut Manor facility. ACMi News Director Jeff Barn has the details.
On Monday, January 24th, Middlesex DA Marion Ryan, Arlington Fire Chief Kevin Kelly, Arlington Police Chief Julian Flaherty, and other law enforcement administrators confirmed the identity of the victim in the fatal apartment building fire in Arlington, which occurred on Saturday, January the 22nd. She is 88-year-old Bridget Doyle, according to authorities. Now, law enforcement officials say shortly after 4 a.m. on Saturday, January 22nd, Arlington fire crews responded to a 911 call reporting a fire here at 54 Medford Street. When they arrived on scene, firefighters found 2 people hurt. Both were rushed to the hospital. One of them, Bridget Doyle, was later pronounced dead. While Arlington fire crews were doing what they could to douse the blaze, roughly 16 people were displaced from the building, which houses a large number of older residents. The cause of the fire was determined to be accidental and apparently started with an electric baseboard heater that was either faulty or was simply too close to something combustible. According to Arlington fire crews, flames broke out in the bedroom of a third-floor apartment in this 7-story building.
There was a baseboard heat, whether it was from the the state police came in with their fire investigative unit through the Department of Fire Service, did an investigation that day, and came up, a couple pots, certainly accidental, but either a malfunctioning baseboard heat or if there could have been clutter around that, and maybe that's what caused the fire.
So something combustible may have been too close to
touching it, yeah. So they couldn't be specific, but kind of general, but certainly in that area.
Arlington's Department of Health and Human Services through its Council on Aging and the Arlington Housing Authority, established a donation fund to support the residents who are impacted by this blaze, and they could certainly use your help. To donate to the Chestnut Manor Relief Fund, visit arlingtoncommunitycenter.org/Chestnut Manor. Again, to donate, visit arlingtoncommunitycenter.org/Chestnut Manor. Arlington's Fire and Police Department and State Police detectives assigned to the Middlesex DA's office were among the law enforcement units who investigated and determined the origin and cause of this tragic fire. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
Arlington's fire and police departments were very busy Sunday, January 23rd on Spy Pond. According to fire crews, 3 skaters fell through thin ice in 3 separate incidents and had to be rescued from the frigid waters. Arlington police were called late Sunday morning after a 50-year-old Cambridge man fell through roughly 100 yards offshore in the area of Hamilton Road. And according to Fire Chief Kevin Kelly, things went downhill from there. Kelly says if you do wish to skate on the pond, which they'd rather you not do, common sense is paramount.
I don't know the thermodynamics of the water underneath, but certainly it was a lot safer over by the boys club. There seemed like there were 100 people over there skating, but in that cove over in that area, that's where we had the people fall through the ice. I don't know the details on all 3. I know that on the first save, it was the APD arrived first. Officer Hogan had a rope kit and he was able to throw a rope to the person. Just as the person grabbed the rope, one of our firefighters arrived and was able to assist Officer Hogan, and I think another police officer, in just pulling the person out of the hole with the rope and getting him out of the water. That was what we call a shoreline rescue. They didn't actually have to get up onto the ice. I think they were able to. So that went well. We actually, this week we were doing ice rescue training, coincidentally, so that was fortunate. We use our equipment. We have a sled and Mustang suits, our water suits we wear. They were able to go out and help the person get out of the hole. So,
do you have any advice for anyone who is thinking about skating on Spy Pond? Usually, I would imagine you get these calls a lot, especially in January and February.
Yeah, well, fortunately, we've been lucky recent years. We haven't had too many through the ice calls. I think one thing is, not exactly sure the exact amount, so I want to be careful, but I know they say that you want to make sure the ice is at least 4 inches thick before someone's going out on the ice. How they determine that, I'm not sure, right? Secondly, is certainly on like you have to be very careful. We did have some warming, right? Remember, like we had some cold weather and some warming, some cold weather, some warming. And when you have that kind of change in weather, you definitely have to be careful, be wary. We remember the cold, but that warm weather probably helped thin that ice a little bit. The other piece of advice is make sure you're not alone, right? If you're going to go skating on a pond or something, certainly make sure you have someone with you. And certainly if they're a minor, they should never be alone. They should have adult supervision. I'd like to say never go on the ice, but that's not realistic, right? We all pond skated, right? You pond skated, I pond skated.
A lot of hockey fans, a lot of figure skating
Right.
fans, and it is Massachusetts in January.
Yeah, but just be aware, look around. I mean, we had the second person that went through the ice, we think went over to get the hockey stick of the first person who went through the ice, went over right near that hole and fell through. So there's also some common sense. That area was surprising from what I saw also was there was water on top of the ice over where the people were falling through.
Okay,
So when you see signs like that, you see some shoreline water, you see some wetness out on the ice, you see other holes in the ice, you might want to stand clear, right?
Over the weekend, barricades were temporarily put in place at the pond to deter others from going onto the ice.
All 3 skaters who fell in Spy Pond are okay. Still, Arlington police produced a 60-second public service announcement to warn residents about the dangers of skating on Spy Pond. Captain Richard Flynn says there is an alternative.
Hello everyone, my name is Captain Rich Flynn with the Arlington Police Department, and I'm here at the banks of the Spy Pond today to try and get a message out to everyone. We realize that we live in Massachusetts and people want to go out onto the ice when they believe the conditions are right. But the town of Arlington will never recommend going out on the body of water that's frozen. There's just too many conditions that could change. Temperature and sun and currents and springs and whatnot. We will never recommend people go out onto these bodies of water. They're ever changing. So we recommend going to the Ed Burns Arena and using the arena that we have in our community. You can visit the times that they have available at thearlingtonrecreation.com. So please, think about yourself, think about keeping your pets off the ice as well. The last thing you want to have happen is either yourself or your pet go out there and then have a first responder go out there and be put into danger as well. So please, if you're considering going out on the water, we ask that you reconsider that and go to the Ed Burns Arena. Thank you.
If you have any questions for police regarding skating on the ponds, give them a call at 781-643-1212. And one Arlington restaurant has found it impossible to reopen its doors at its current 663 Mass Ave location. You may recall Ty Moon sustained an estimated $500,000 in damages from a 2-alarm fire in April 2021. The owner moved out equipment from the dining area and kitchen that was damaged in the blaze. Then they reportedly began formulating a reconstruction plan and applied for a permit. But this month, the owners said they couldn't come to terms with the landlord to reopen at the 663 Mass Ave site. According to their Facebook page, Ty Moon owners are looking for a new location to reopen in Arlington. Fire Chief Kevin Kelly told Your Arlington that the kitchen sustained major fire and smoke damage. The area above Ty Moon was damaged as well.
On the heels of Arlington's celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, the town is now getting ready to celebrate Black History Month in February. You're looking at Mass Ave in 2020, where banners celebrating African Americans in our history were on display. They will be returning, along with some new features to celebrate our National Black History Month. Just last week, I spoke to Jillian Harvey, the town's Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, about what we can expect for this year's celebration.
Keep your eye out for the Black History Month banners that will go up in February, that are hosted by the Human Rights Commission. So there'll be some new additions this year that will go up in the Heights, in addition to the previous 2 years banners along Mass Ave and Arlington Center and East Arlington. But with that, the commission did a call for artists with a theme of youth leading the way. And so we got some really great submissions and final selections have been made. So those are going before the select board on Monday. But the banner, the background information and stories that go with the banners will all be posted on the Human Rights Commission on their webpage. And then a date for the artist talk for the new banners will be set soon. So once I know that, I'll also share that information out. But also check out the DEI Town webpage because it's been updated. And so there's also some more updated information about the community conversations posted there as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna say directing folks there because that's where I'm putting everything.
To find out more about what's happening during Black History Month in Arlington, just go to the town's website, arlingtonma.gov.
It comes as no surprise that Robbins Library at first struggled like the rest of us to navigate through this pandemic. The library shut down in the first COVID wave nearly 2 years ago, and as a result, circulation dipped slightly. That's when the library leaders got creative and built a new website, kept members updated on upcoming events, and of course, got books like Beowulf, Dracula, and Don Quixote into the hands of area readers. ACMi News talked to Andrea Nicolai, Arlington's Director of Libraries, about the impressive amount of progress made thus far and her plans for 2022.
The library had to pivot quite extremely when the shutdown happened, which does feel like a very long time ago, maybe even longer than 3 years ago.
Yes.
But we're at this point, because of Omicron and the really contagious nature of Omicron, we did take away library seating for this temporary period. We're reevaluating that all the time based on the case transmission in Arlington. But because we serve all ages, of course, we had to be sensitive at all times to the way that the pandemic was affecting different age groups. And so while there isn't public seating at the moment or in-person programs, we have a number of services that are available and people are welcome to come in and browse. We didn't change our hours or anything like that. It is a core function of a public library to be a gathering space. And so that was one of the hardest parts of having to put restrictions into place at the beginning of the pandemic and certainly even now. It's just really, really, it goes against our mission to remove seating or not be a place for people to use a computer for an extended period of time. So I look forward to being able to resume the services that we were providing prior to January 3rd when we made those changes for Omicron.
Mhm.
And we were seeing people come back to in-person programming, not to the same levels as before the pandemic, but people were starting to come back. And so I look forward to welcoming especially our smallest patrons back into story times and sing-alongs and getting all that good stuff going again.
You have launched a new website, very impressive, on the 18th. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'd be delighted to. So just as a note to viewers, if you visit the library website, it's robbinslibrary.org. And if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see a place for feedback on the website. And we really encourage, especially in these early days of our new site, we encourage people to use that form. We are actively updating and improving every day. Some of the major improvements that we put in place for the launch, more prominent hours. People were always hunting for you should never have to hunt for the hours on a library's website. So we've made those hours more prominent. We have posted all of the holidays and the ways that our calendar changes. So if you go to the holidays and hours page, you can find all the information you need about the whole year and using the library all year round. We made an accessibility services page so that people can find out all of the different ways to access the library, both physically and collections, how to access collections that will be useful if you have, limited vision or just various challenges that people have. And so we're trying to make it easier for people to find those services. There are a lot of technology assistive devices that we have in the library that people may or may not know about.
Mm-hmm.
So those were some improvements. On the website itself, in the bottom right corner, there's a little blue symbol with a white figure in it. And that's also an accessibility feature for our website so that people can increase the font size or change the contrast. So we're really happy about those changes. It's also a more lively website. So we have beautiful libraries, and we've been able to showcase a little bit more of the liveliness of the libraries in the new website. Our last website was extremely functional, very bare bones, I would say. So not a lot of visual clutter, and the new site certainly doesn't have visual clutter, but it does highlight the beauty of the libraries and the vibrancy of them a little bit better. So we're proud of that.
Yeah, you should be, as you should be. Now, 2019 is when the world was turned upside down, and you've had to make adjustments, but you've rebounded quite well in the last 2 years. And obviously, I'm sure you're going to keep some of those changes that you had to make back then, and you're going to keep them going perpetually, and if and when this pandemic ever ends.
One of the changes that we made, and one of the services that we're going to keep beyond the pandemic, are grab bags. So people can go online and go and find, it's one of the services under collections and services on our new site. And you basically fill out a form. If you're a parent of a kid who likes trucks, you fill out the form, you indicate that they like trucks, and the librarian in the children's department will put together a lovely bag of materials, all focused on trucks. It can be books, DVDs, any format that we offer. And so that was extremely popular, especially for busy parents who couldn't get in the library for the browsing appointments that we were offering and things like that. We were just trying to figure out the way to get materials out the door safely and efficiently, and it really caught on. So we're happy to continue that service. We also have continued contactless pickup for those who just don't want to come into the public library space or any public space right now. And with contactless pickup, you just go into the vestibule and pick up your things that you've ordered in advance.
What are your plans for 2022? You have a pretty lively program all set up for this year.
We do. We have just released a new strategic plan for the libraries, and that's a 5-year plan that guides our annual activities. And we have 3 main goals in that plan. And I'm going to switch to the plan, which is right next to me on my wall.
Fine. You go right ahead. So we do that all the time.
The first goal is to ensure programs and collections evolve to better meet residents' needs. The second goal, and I will have these memorized soon. The second goal is to increase library access for and use by all community members. And the third is to basically improve our physical spaces to meet the needs of Arlington. So incremental changes and improvements that we can make with the support of the capital planning, with support of the town, and the foundation, the Arlington Libraries Foundation annually contributes a lot toward materials, toward furniture upgrades, things of that nature. So we look forward to improving services year over year. Some of the changes that we're looking at for the near term is a better marketing plan, because what we learned through the surveys that helped us form the strategic plan was that a lot of people learned about our services as they were filling out the survey. So we would get comments like, I didn't know you had, a library of things. I didn't know you had 2 scanners, a flatbed and, automatic feed. Things like that came out during the survey. And so a marketing plan that's a little bit more cohesive and professionalized will help us reach more people, especially the non-users, especially people who may be underserved in Arlington. So we're excited about that.
Again, if you want to navigate through the Robbins Library website, just go to robbinslibrary.org.
What's happening with Arlington High School students this week? We return to our Studio B at Arlington High School for this week's Ponderscope with Saul Yudowski.
Hi, welcome back to the Ponderscope. The first term ended this week and the second one began for all AHS students. This includes changes to the schedule as well as to lunch hours. Students with first lunch have now been rotated to second lunch and vice versa. Third lunch students will not have their lunch schedule changed, however. In other news, Wilson Farm is sponsoring a Shop at Wilson Farm Day for Arlington High School on Monday, January 31st from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. 20% of all profits will be donated back to the high school. A flyer must be presented at the time of checkout in order for the proceeds to benefit the Arlington High School. The flyer must be printed and will be attached as a PDF in the YouTube description below. A deadline to be aware of this week are the yearbook purchases. These are optional, but a great way to remember fond memories from the year. And the yearbook, unlike previous years, is now open to both underclassmen and upperclassmen. Yearbook prices start at $85 and can change due to insurance and add-on packages. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. I'm Sol Yudowski, and this has been the Ponderscope.
Hats off to Arlington leaders for building an efficient town website that has now been recognized by the Massachusetts Municipal Association. Arlington took top prize in the MMA's website awards earlier this week in the category for municipalities with a population of over 25,000 people. Municipal websites are evaluated by the MMA using criteria such as government transparency, tools needed for residents to apply for licenses and permits or pay bills or make suggestions. Kudos to Arlington's Public Information Officer Joan Roman, the chief architect of this website. Seems like it'll especially come in handy this week as the winter weather intensifies.
Mark your calendars for Saturday, February 5th, if you wish to cool off in these dog days of winter. Members of Arlington's Rotary Club will be hosting its second annual Polar Dunk, where area residents can actually plunge into the frozen waters of a dunk tank, if you so desire. Even if you don't wish to take a frozen dip, you can help get a polio vaccine to children worldwide who still need it. ACMi News got to talk to one plucky dipper who's willing to plunge into the brutal and uncordial icy drink for this notable cause.
It's that time of the year again. It's nice and balmy and 92 degrees and time to plunge into the water again with the Polar Plunge. Tell us about this year's festivities.
This year's festivity is going to take place at St. Camilla's parking lot on February 5th at 12 p.m. There are 7 of our active members from the Arlington Rotary Club that will be sitting on the thing and being dropped into a tank of water.
This is a dunk tank. This is a dunk tank. At
a dunk tank, exactly. We're renting the tank. One of our members has got a donation for Berman Liquor, one large chest full of ice. He's going to dump that in the water, which doesn't, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't change the temperature much. The water is being provided by the Arlington Fire Department.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our members has asked for that truck to be left out overnight so that the water doesn't get warm. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Trust me, the air temperature is going to be cold. It's the purpose of this is to raise money to fight polio. It goes towards the Rotary International Foundation to fight polio. As of now, all but 2 countries it has been eradicated, thanks to inoculations and a big push by Rotary International. The 2 countries left are Pakistan and Afghanistan. Since the war has ended, the Taliban are now allowing for the population, mainly the children, to get the vaccine. The money we raise gets matched 2 to 1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And there are 7 of us crazies that are going to be dunked. It sounds crazy. I tell everybody it's a quick cardiac exam. If you survive, your heart's in good shape. And I appreciate ACMi's time in doing this for us.
Sure, absolutely. Our pleasure. It's going to be a lot of fun to cover. Really is.
It is.
You can dive in if you're brave enough, or you can just watch these people turn blue right before your eyes while donating to this great cause. Just go to arlingtonmarotary.com. And hats off to Bill Hader and his fellow plungers who are steadfast in their commitment to get wet and freeze before the masses.
One creature that can outperform us bipeds when it comes to frosty plunging is the duck. Millions of years of evolution have enabled them to swim where it's cold, walk on thin ice without concern, and fly in every way, making us look like fools. This video, taken recently by our own Cheryl Brusgulis, is proof that when it comes to frozen, the cold never bothered ducks anyway. Say what you will about the cold weather in January, there is something majestic about the winter season in New England. And that'll do it for this week's edition of ACMi News. Thanks for joining us. I'm James Milan.
And I'm Katie Chang. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe and stay warm. Good night.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.